Reddit, who are the worst coworkers that you've ever had to work with? Story 1. Working as a cashier for a grocery store. Awesomely friendly boss was always quick with a joke and great with customers. She also counted the drawers and handled the front of the store. My drawer came up $20 short one day. Never happened the year I was working, and I got pushed in front of the store manager without any defense. I could pay it out of pocket or get wrote up. Couldn't afford the $20, so I took the write-up. Broke high school kid that had to pay car insurance. Boss goes on later and starts talking about watching out for quick change artists. Yeah, that must have been it. Fast forward 3 months, I quit because of a shitty raise because of a demerit and go work elsewhere. A few months later, she's arrested and fired for stealing from the tills to feed her lottery habit. Story 2. The one who sat next to me and clicked her fucking pen all goddamn day long. Click, 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 click. It wasn't even rhythmic. It was just a random cacophony of clicks, enough to make a man lose his fucking mind and daydream of taking that pen and stabbing her through the neck with it. She was the worst. Story 3. When I was 16, I worked at Wendy's. One day I went in to find out that I was training. I am working back window, and as I am training her, she starts filling me in on her situation. She was a recovering crack addict who had just been released from jail for theft and was living in a halfway house. She was also 40 years old and kept hitting on me, asking if I ever had a woman, telling me constantly how cute I was, etc. I thought I'd have to get a new job, but 2 days later, addiction went out and she ran out the door with $100. The funny thing was that, had it just been the money, she would have just been fired. But since she ran out with the work walkie-talkie, she was charged with a felony. Those things are stupidly priced. Story 4. The type who complain about not getting enough hours a week after week, but when you do schedule them for extra hours, they call out. In fairness, one of my old jobs went about this the wrong way. We'd ask for extra hours, sure, but then they would say 20 minutes before you leave, "You want to work an extra 4 hours today?" No, I didn't. I've made plans around my work schedule now. "You always say you want more hours, but then you turn them down when I offer them." Whoa, wait. I signed up for every bank holiday, worked 28 days of December, and accepted all overtime with advance notice. You can't just ask me to delay my plans by 4 hours when I'm supposed to set off and meet friends or family in the next half hour. Story 5. Once I had a coworker who wouldn't do a damn thing if the boss was not in the store. If he wasn't there, she would just be on the store phone talking to her baby daddy, outside smoking, or out in the mall shopping. She would do enough work to cover for a 15-minute break, if you complained long enough for one. However, if the boss was there, she was all over the customers like they were her new best friend and all in the boss's face saying, "Look at how well I work." I complained, naturally. He just said that there was nothing he could do because he never witnessed any of this behavior. Well, one day, while she was pulling her BS, another coworker and I were hit hard with a really huge rush. She was supposed to be helping with handing out orders, making fries and drinks and whatnot. Instead, she was off on the phone talking about sex loudly in earshot of customers. I had a mental breakdown and just started crying. I turned around and yelled at her, saying something along the lines of, "No one cares about your stupid sex life. Not me, not coworker, and not the customers. Either get up here and do your job, or just leave now." She came up to help, but with the worst attitude ever. As soon as the rush died down, I booked it to the back, grabbed the cordless phone, and called the boss in tears. I thought I was going to get fired for yelling in front of customers. He agreed to do a stakeout and watched her from afar. She was fired. I was given a raise. I quit 2 months later. Story 6. There was this fucktard that used to bring in framed photos of various exotic wildlife and show them off to everyone in the break room. He would go into a long story about his trip to Africa or whatever country that particular animal of the week came from. The thing is, they were all taken from the internet and printed on photo paper. If he brought in a Serbian tiger photo, I would Google Serbian tiger and bam. Oh, look, it's a pic from the brochure for a Mexican zoo. I hated that guy. Story 7. I share office space with a woman who's been working in our firm for 35 years now. Underneath her desk, she has a banker's box half filled, at least 10 kilos, with colorful rocks. One day I asked her about the rocks. "Oh, every time somebody really pisses me off, they get a rock in my box so I can remember it." "You mean all of those rocks represent somebody?" She rummaged in the box for a second and pulled one out. This is for the time department secretary didn't invite me to a Christmas party, even though I gave her a present. I picked one out at random. So, who's this for? Oh, that's for old boss retired circa 2003. That bitch. I told her not to hire that person for accounting, and she got pregnant 6 months later. She should have listened to me. I stared. So, do I have any rocks? She just glowered at me for a second, then turned back to her newspaper. Story 8. I was a swing manager at McDonald's in high school. We had one employee, Johnny, who just didn't want to do any work. He was in the kitchen, so his duties were to cook, prep, clean, and restock. His favorite thing to do was prep. Ask the man to make a Big Mac and you'd get the worst sandwich ever. Ask him to slice tomatoes and you'd get perfection. Anyway, one day we were really busy and I'm helping out in the basement with an inventory order. Johnny comes downstairs and his hand is sliced, bad, down to the bone, bleeding everywhere. It looked like he put his hand into a tomato slicer and just smashed it into his hand. Thing is, he was so calm, looked pleased with himself. We sent him home thinking that was that. He strolled out, said goodbye to his coworkers, and we never saw or heard from him again. That night, I'm sorting out all the tills to take dailies to the safe drop at the bank. We're missing nearly $5,000 in cash from the manager's safe. It never happened before, never happened again. Don't know how he did it. Story 9. I worked at a concrete company when I was 17 for a summer job. It was really hard work, especially when you're the new young buck. They shove all the shitty jobs on you and see what it'll take to make you quit. Anyway, about 4 weeks into the job, the owner of the company has Alba's son, who is my age, come in to work for him. He got all the easier jobs, and whenever I was with him, he would go out to the truck and take 10-minute long water breaks. Then he would come back and pretend to work. As soon as the foreman looked away, he would slow his pace down or stop completely. And since he was usually working with me, it became Mr. Miyagi, hurry your ass up, or GTFO. I mean, I get that it's the boss's son, but god damn, don't mistake his laziness for my incompetence. I would strip whole rooms and this kid would just sit there breaking ties and I'm still pissed off about it. Story 10. Front desk. This coworker was fired recently. She was an old Jamaican lady who was our night shift audit, and after a year and a half of experiencing her habits, I completely reformed my schedule to morning shift just so I didn't have to be in contact with her like I did for the night. Night audit comes at 11 p.m. to relieve night shift, and my coworker would come in 5 minutes late on the dot. Due to an idiotic corporate policy that allows this 5-minute courtesy, Hilton Hotel, run by management company, franchise, there was nothing the managers could do, so I and my partner are waiting with our drawers counted and drops ready for deposit as she lumbers down from the clock room. By the time she's counted her drawer and fully ready to relieve us, it's already fucking 11:15 p.m. And it's not like we're sitting there twiddling our thumbs either, because during her leisurely preparation, we're taking in money, checking in guests, and constantly recounting the drawers just so we can minimize our delay in ending our shift. Otherwise, we either leave at 11:15 p.m. with everything in disorder, not in my character, or leave at 11:40 p.m. through 45 p.m. She was a god-awful front desk agent, mumbled to the guests, was barely personable, but she survived slipping under the radar because she always met the minimum expectations. She was fired on a technicality, made a reservation at this hotel for her family without authorization, and I'm glad she's gone. There are so many workers in this city that deserved her spot that she wastefully occupied for 7 years.